The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you for yielding. I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
I rise in support of this legislation. It makes no sense to pay somebody, pay for free needles to do something that is currently illegal. It's very questionable whether it will do any good. As a physician, I would have to agree with the opposition that a clean needle certainly is better than a dirty needle. I don't think there's a question about that. But I do believe that there is a message sent that if we provide free needles to do something, that we're condoning or encouraging it. But there's also a strong moral as well as an economic argument against this. What we're talking about here is lowering cost of risky behavior. We're saying that we will pay for the needles to perform this risky behavior. But there's another much larger element that has not been discussed so far, and that has to do with the concept that all risky behavior be socialized. That is, through the medical system, it is assumed that those who do not participate in risky behavior must pay for the cost of the risky behavior, whether it has to do with cigarettes or whether it has to do with drugs or whether it has to do with any kind of safety. So therefore, the argument is that we have to save money in medical care costs by providing free needles. But there is another position, and that is that we might suggest that we don't pay for free needles, and we might even challenge the concept that we shouldn't be paying people and taking care of them for risky behavior, whether it's risky sexual behavior or risky behavior with drugs. I think this is very clearly the problem, and I do not believe we should be socializing this behavior, because if we do, you actually increase it. If you lower the cost of anything, you increase the incidence of its use. So if the responsibility doesn't fall on the individual performing dangerous behavior, they're more likely to. And this is just part of it, the idea that we would give them a free needle. But there's a moral argument against this as well. Why should people who don't use drugs or don't participate in dangerous sexual procedures and activities have to pay for those who do? And this is really the question. And there is no correct moral argument for this. And the economic argument is very powerful. It says that if you lower the cost, you will increase this behavior. But this is not only true when we're dealing with drugs. It has to do with cigarettes. I mean, the whole tobacco argument is dealing with the same issue, that we have to pay for the costs of people who get sick from dangerous behavior with cigarettes, and therefore we have to come in and regulate the tobacco companies, and nobody can assume responsibility for themselves. Same thing with alcohol and safety. This is the reason we have so much government regulation dealing with helmet laws and seat belts and buzzers and beepers and airbags. So this concept has to be dealt with if we're ever to get to the bottom of this. So I strongly support this legislation.
Gentleman's time's expired. The gentlelady from California.
Mr. Speaker, may I please inquire about the time on each side remaining?
How many? The gentlelady has 50 minutes remaining.
50?
50. And the gentleman from Mississippi has 44 and a half minutes remaining.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.